Look at us. Gary and I are doing Roll-A-Panel. We are streaming live on athome.com, AtHomeCon. It's not .com. AtHomeCon. And you've seen both of us several times over the course of this weekend. And you're going to see us a lot more because, oh my gosh.
Unless you know I do that.
Exactly. My name is Joe Crow, and one internet to my left is...
I'm Gary Mitchell. Hi, everybody.
We are the
co-directors. I desperately need a shave. Holy mackerel.
I'm as we've discussed, I'm never cutting my hair again. I'm done. And
well, to be fair, Joe, that is like a 6-day beard growth you've got going there.
It really is.
I've never seen you look more luxuriant.
This is last Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't get 5 o'clock shadow until like the next week.
Yes.
It's redonkulous. But my friend Michael may want to. May one of the many Michaels. It's not even one of the usual Michaels.
It's a new Michael?
It's a brand new Michael. I'm gonna invite him in. Doodly-doo. That's right, everybody. You can witness me here live. You can witness me bringing more people into the thing.
I feel very self-conscious about that light switch behind me, by the way. I keep trying to move where it's not visible. I don't know why. It's just, it bugs me. I should replace it. You can do that, right? In a rental house?
Sure.
I don't know anything about, like home repair or tools or electricity.
Oh, no. I will electrocute myself by accident.
Is it by accident, Joe? Is it really by accident?
The first time it was. The first time it was 100% by accident. So here is what we are doing, and we will explain it again over and over again as more people come in. This is what I like to call the revolution in sci-fi convention technology. Panelists have a limited number of panels that they can do physically, and sci-fi conventions have a limited amounts of space to put panels in. We fix that problem because Gary and I are geniuses. What happens here is we have put together a list of 20 sci-fi movie topics. And what we do is we get the audience members or ourselves to roll a random role-playing game D20 to decide what we talk about for 5 minutes. And then we talk about that thing. In live action, we have had upwards of 20 panelists, and that is a nightmare, but also incredibly fun. In this case, so far, we have dose. But that's okay because Gary and I like hearing our own voices.
We do. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
We don't need anybody else.
Seriously.
We like having everybody else.
I love having tons of people. So I sent you the list earlier. Do you have a D20 handy, sir?
I do not, actually.
I will
have to rely on yours.
Ha-ha! Then I will do the rolling, sir. And hey, neat. We've got some lovely viewers. And here we go. The list, the topic, if you will. Hey, we got a new guy.
Yo.
Hey, Michael. How are you, sir?
Oh, just apparently I'm available.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of thing.
Michael Nipp, this is Gary Mitchell, my DragonCon co-director.
What's up, Gary?
Nice
And
to meet you.
Poor Michael and I end up on like every Star Wars thing ever on any Star Wars related panel in Birmingham.
That's right.
And it's a hoot. And Michael, at DragonCon, in our amongst our group of irregulars that we put on panels, there's like 6 people named Michael.
It's a very common name, unfortunately.
Exactly. So now you are one of those people. So now we have a full, we call it a whole bunch of Michaels. We call that, Gary, what do we call a full group of Michaels?
We call it a full drop of Mike.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
We had, a couple of years ago, we did a panel which was just people named Michael on the panel.
Talking about famous Michaels of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Famous characters and creators, and we just had our big random rolling thing. And then at the end of the panel, all the Michaels posed, and I had a boom mic that I dropped into the shot of the photo. And so I felt like I could have retired right then. That was maybe the greatest thing.
They also made you an honorary Michael, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. I'm Michael adjacent.
Oh.
Because my brother is named Michael. Technically, I was allowed to participate because of that.
It's almost like the 501st. There's enough Michaels that we could have our own Stormtrooper Legion.
Just Michaels, man, that would be huge. So what we're going to do, Michael, is I will roll these random 20-sided dices. And then like for each of you, and whatever comes up, we'll do a 5-minute panel on that thing.
All right.
And the movies are from there are 20 movies, and we're talking about movies from 1990, 1995, and 2000.
Ah, okay.
So Gary is the unfortunate person who got here first. So I'm going to let Gary. I'm going to roll. Purple or magenta, Gary?
Oh, purple. Always
All
purple. Right. In the honor and spirit of our good friend Dave West of the New Things podcast.
8. Now let me pull up my list.
Oh God, Joe, I hate you.
How do you know what the list is? That's not fair.
I'm sorry.
He said, no, you don't need to send it to me. I want to be surprised.
Okay, good. Gary, number 8, for the benefit of everybody else, number 8 is Waterworld.
Oh, man.
It's a movie.
Yes,
I saw it in the theater.
Me too.
Because we had to. It was a law. Kevin Costner, who was riding high. I guess that's a C pun. Riding the wave of having, been, Mr. Hollywood with, Field of Dreams and Dances with Wolves and all that, and he decides to make a sci-fi epic, and he wanted to make a thoughtful, serious, globally impactful, ecologically aware sci-fi movie. And he hired Dennis Hopper, who thought he was doing another Roger Corman movie, apparently.
Dennis Hopper probably didn't know he was actually there.
Yeah. And as much as it is fun to bag on the movie, there are parts of it that are pretty good. Costner is actually pretty decent.
Oh, I love it. I love the movie.
Yeah, it's pure cheese. Costner is just so pretentious in the role at times. It's hard to. It really kind of takes the air out of the film for me. But it's still a kind of a fun watch, especially for Dennis Hopper as captain of the Exxon Valdez. It's definitely trying to be Mad Max on surf.
Right.
But yeah, it's not great. It's good. It's like you said, it's enjoyable, but I understand there's a director's cut, which is like 45 hours longer.
I bought that recently. It's a 4K version, and it's not too much longer than that. It's they add maybe like 20 minutes to it at the most.
Yeah, but apparently they add the plot back.
Touche.
Is there more of Costner drinking his own pee? Because there's not
That's
nearly
right.
enough of that.
Yeah, really, That was a
15 of the
bold
new-
statement to
of the
start the movie. Yeah. Let's start with the hero drinking his own pee, so we show how desperate we are for the water. And I'm like, couldn't we have chosen a different way, maybe?
No.
Maybe because because you spend the whole rest of the movie going, yeah, but he's been drinking his whole pee the whole time. Yeah, he's a great action hero, but he's been drinking his own pee.
You can't really get past it. It's
No. That was an episode of Better Call Saul this season where most of the episode he was drinking his own pee.
Oh wow!
Yeah, yeah. He was out in the desert and had to drink his own pee.
Well, you do what you got to do in the desert, I guess.
I saw that everyone said this movie was going to be a gigantic bomb because it took so long to film and the budget was so crazy. But then it ended up being like it made tons of money. Did it?
No, I think
it did well, but I think it barely broke even.
Yeah, it barely broke even. Now the other one, The Postman, did bomb.
Okay. I was mistaken. All right.
Yeah, and of the two, I would rather watch Waterworld than The Postman.
Oh yeah. I'm the same way. Although Tom Petty is in The Postman.
True.
So that almost makes it worth it.
As himself.
Well, basically, yes. Essentially himself, yeah.
That's great. How did I not know that?
Yeah, and Will Patton. I love me some Will Patton. He's in The Postman also, yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was 1990, so I was in college, so I was in a constant state of emotional distress. So I don't I must have gone to it with a person whom I was dating at the time, and that didn't go great. But I'm okay now.
There you go. You're okay now. That's all that matters.
That's right. I'm okay now, and I think maybe she's in prison. I don't know that.
Oh, wow. All right.
You dodged a bullet there.
You definitely did.
I don't know she's in prison, but
and I want to give a shout out to Alan Pinion's comment of, "Wait a minute, Mr. Postman."
Man, no. And yet I'm the one putting it up there. All
right. So I believe that's time.
That is time.
Oh yeah. You had your 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you could go beyond 5 minutes,
I'd watch it again, but
yeah,
Hey,
the 4K director's cut's not bad.
Cool. The anybody in our comments, if you guys want to be on the thing, just let me go to the Facebooks and I will send you guys the linkage, and you can just come on in for a minute.
Come on in. We can fit at least 6 people.
Yeah.
I believe. I think that's how StreamYard works.
6.
Yep. And I can always leave if I have to.
No.
Depending on what you roll.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, time for me to go. But yeah, I just posted in the comment section. I just posted the thing.
Right on.
You don't have to stay for the whole hour. You can be like Gary, and if he rolls Waterworld, object and run screaming from the room.
Oh, we're allowed to object. I didn't know we were allowed to object.
Your objection will be overruled, but your objection will be noted.
All right, so let me. There's my list again, and
I'm excited.
All right, you want purple or magenta, Michael?
Well, since Gary spun Waterworld with purple, I'm going magenta.
Good call. 14, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yes. I love me some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Jim Henson involved in creating the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In fact, I recently watched a documentary on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a whole. So it started with the comics, and then, a lot into the first movie, a little bit into the second movie, but it was really kind of groundbreaking. They had to do a lot of new technology as far as the animatronics for the turtles themselves, and incorporate that into Jim Henson's work. It's one of those really campy films that's beloved, and it's still beloved to this day. And really, those first three, in my opinion, there hasn't really been a great Turtles movie since then.
Yeah,
there's been some. I think John Woo did an animated one. I mean, there's been some attempts. And the 1990s cartoon and these 1990 films are the best. I mean, you can't go wrong with Shredder in this, and the way that they did Bebop and Rocksteady was fantastic. I mean, and it's all practical effects, which, nobody wants to really spend the money on that anymore. Although I did read the other day that they're looking at doing a TV series with that same type of puppetry and animatronics. So cool. Be interesting, like a live action. So it could be very interesting. It's one that, they encapsulated the music really well in that. They had Casey Jones, and you gotta love Casey Jones.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember the actor who did Casey Jones right now. I can't remember the original actor. I know that the guy from Arrow played the new Casey Jones in one of the newer movies, but the original, and the April O'Neil, she was great. I mean, it just really encapsulated everything about the Turtles, and a lot of the reason was because the creators were involved. Exactly. The original creators of the comic book were involved in it, and so that always helps when you've got them on board, supporting the vision of the director. And it was a crazy story because the studio had no faith that they were actually going to be able to pull the movie off, and they certainly went through a lot of growing pains throughout the filming. But when it came out and it made as much money as it did, it was just one of those things that the studio was amazed and greenlit sequels right then and there. And they progressively got worse. Like the third one, Turtles in Time, I think it was called, where they were dressed as samurai. That one was not great, but the second one was fantastic because it had the Vanilla Ice song. And you cannot go wrong with the Vanilla Ice song.
The first one
Go
had
Ninja. Go Ninja.
Go Ninja, exactly.
Everybody, welcome Erika to the Roll-A-Panel studio. Hello.
What's up, Erika?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you have any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comments?
Not at the moment, except that my brother stole all of mine.
Oh, man. Siblings do that. Siblings steal things.
Worst.
It's just the way it is. I did have a lot of those toys as well. I mean, I had a lot of from the cartoon. So, I mean, that was my bread and butter in the 90s was that cartoon. I absolutely loved it. So I've got to be over 5 minutes at this point. So
yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the books.
I should. I'm gonna use my personal prerogative. I can do what I want to do, Bobby Brown. I wanted to mention Partners in Crime, the Turtle Power rap song. Oh my gosh, great to this day. I dig it. I had it on Ka-Single. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's impressive. I think my first Ka-Single was either LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out, or perhaps it was Color Me Bad. I might have had the Color Me Bad Ka-Single. The 90s.
Gary,
did they in fact sex you up?
Yes, that is. It was a double. It was that one, and there was one other. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Gary, do you remember your first Ka-Single?
I have to really think back because I did buy quite a few different cassettes at the time. But my first Ka-Single is, oh, I'm sorry, but we're out of time. We have to go again.
That was a quick 5 minutes talking about Ka-Singles.
I know. Yeah. So, Erika, here is, thank you for coming on board. Again, nobody has to stay the entire hour, but what I would like you to do is we have a list of 20 movies. And we've already done 2, and you get to virtually roll a die, and that's the movie we'll talk about.
Fantastic. So how do I do that?
I have the dice.
Okay.
You just tell me, would you like magenta or purple?
Let's do purple.
Yay!
Mommy.
Team purple. Number 5. Let me see.
Ooh.
Flatliners.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one to talk about.
And go.
Erika's like, I've never seen Flatliners.
No.
Do not want to do that one.
I think I've seen it once when I was younger. I don't know. That was the stage where my father was making me watch horror movies at 5 and 6 years old. So
Oh my.
That's a good
God, now I
father.
feel old.
No, that's a good father.
Yeah, that really is. The movies on the list are from 1990, 1995, and 2000.
Old. They're old, Joe. Just say they're old.
Give Erika one from the 2000s then.
I can do that.
All right, so we're going to retcon her role.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Executive decision.
Because we can.
Because we can. Erika,
I'll take Flatliners as my role for the next one.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Erika, what about the very first X-Men movie?
Yes. Seen it. I like that movie. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I like that movie.
Well, talk about it.
Well, excuse me. I just, I wasn't really into the comic books. Honestly, I was more of a Spider-Man kid. But it really, watching that movie, it really had me interested in the characters. And to be honest, after I saw that, I wanted to go back and read the comics a little bit more. As far as having Wolverine, I thought was really awesome. Because little did I know of him was just that he was some guy that wore, the blue and the yellow. And he wasn't really like, I didn't know much about him up until that point. As I said, I wasn't really a big X-Men fan, but the way he was portrayed in the movie, I thought was really interesting. And he was like this sort of down and out guy and had that angst to him. And so I really wanted to go back and learn more about that. And of course you have Professor X, who's just amazing.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. I mean, he's good in everything. I mean, I was a big Star Trek nerd, so that kind of helped that situation. The big Trekkie since I was little. So really loved him in the movie, and just the fact that the way he portrayed that character was just, I feel, on par with what I've read in the comic book since then. So I think it was a really good introduction to those movies, especially for people that weren't quite X-Men fans before that. And I think it brought people into that light. So
yeah, I agree with that 100%. When the movie debuted, nobody really knew would people come out, because X-Men was kind of a niche thing at the time. I mean, everybody technically knew who Batman and Superman were, but beyond that, only the super geeks knew X-Men. And now everybody knows X-Men, so up yours, normal people.
Nice, Joe. Nice. Real nice. No, X-Men.
We don't know who the X-Men are.
I was so ready for that, but again, because of the 1990s cartoon. And again, it's kind of like Erika. I wasn't like a huge comic book guy. A lot of my gateway into all these Marvel and DC stuff was mostly through the animated stuff first. And then, from that point on, I did read some stuff. But that first X-Men movie was fantastic. I mean, that cast that they assembled, X-Men assembled, was just kismet. I mean, they all worked really well together. I mean, and it's not like any of them were really well known besides Patrick Stewart. I mean, Hugh Jackman, that was very early in his career. James, and then from that point on, I did read some stuff. But that first X-Men movie was fantastic. I mean, that cast that they assembled, X-Men assembled, was.
Are we stuck in a time loop?
We are. We're in a time loop. Joe, did you open Facebook or something?
Woohoo!
I mean, Hugh Jackman, that was very early in his career.
Okay, there we are, back again.
Joe?
That was amazing. I was like, ooh, who's that sexy voice?
Lean, Joe, lean.
That was outstanding. Yeah, that was good stuff, Joe. But no, anyways, I've lost my train of thought completely. So let's move on to the next movie.
Yeah,
I loved it, and I had seen Patrick McKellen the year before. I think it was the year before in Apt Pupil, and I was a fan of Bryan Singer at the time because he wasn't a creep then.
That we knew,
and I'd love The Usual Suspects. So I was excited, but I was not prepared for it being that good.
Yeah.
My favorite story from behind the scenes is apparently there was one scene. It's where Patrick Stewart's giving one of the first monologues to Wolverine after he's woken up and read his mind, and Bryan Singer kept going again, and he had him do the scene like the four times. At the fifth time, he's like, "Patrick, I need you to do this one more time because I refuse to believe that you can be this good on every take."
That's funny.
I believe that is time, and really, we could and
have 30 seconds, but yeah, let's go.
We could and should and will do a whole X-Men panel. We got to do that
at some point, yeah.
But we back to you, Gary. You're taking Erika's Flatliners.
Yes, aka the Brat Pack does horror.
Yeah.
And that was my main takeaway. It was, and we lost Erika.
Erika's like, I'm done with this.
Good Lord.
I had enough of you people.
Thank you,
Erika.
Erika.
Thank you for coming on, Erika.
Yeah, it's a cheesy PG-13-ish horror movie. The concept is interesting that these bored college kids I think they were in a psych program trying to, what's past death? What is beyond death? And, dying and coming back and trying to, on purpose to see if there is an afterlife. And Kiefer Sutherland goes a little crazy because he's Kiefer Sutherland. Julia Roberts, I think, is in it. Yeah, that was the main thing. Is it's also another good Kevin Bacon connector movie.
Yeah.
With a lot of people.
A very good one. And that cast was fantastic. At the time, that was an A-list cast.
Yeah, it really was. This was young Hollywood at the time, just stepping up and doing, the equivalent of Sinatra's Ocean's 11 or George Clooney's Ocean's 11, whichever way you want to look at it. So yeah, it's notable for that. There it is, Errol's. Thank you, Errol. They were medical students, and you can tell it's been a while since I watched it. And it's unfortunately though the cast is the only thing that's really notable about it. They tried to do a remake, and it was terrible because it didn't have this cast.
Yeah, they had whoever the current hip youngsters were at the time.
They weren't even that hip. That was the problem.
Really? Okay. Now, I feel like the remake, the second one, was that a sequel? Because I think they mentioned the original people. I don't remember. I know I saw it. But now the first one, though, I thought these medical students are, let's bring in a fourth person. Hey, Michael Williams.
Hey. Is that another Michael?
It's another Michael. We are at 50% Michael.
That's awesome.
I am 100% determined to turn every con into Michael Con.
I'm all for that.
We are in the middle of discussing Flatliners for about 3 more minutes.
I love that movie so much. Such a great film.
Yeah.
Take it away, sir.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. It's like it's not exactly the first science fiction movie that tries to take metaphysical concepts and cross them with science fiction. I'm not even going to argue that The Black Hole is the first one, but I would argue that Flatliners is in the same sort of thread of subgenre overlap. Like in the great Venn diagram of genre, Flatliners and The Black Hole and Event Horizon and a whole bunch of other really great sci-fi movies are in this little tiny circle that says, what if the spiritual realm and the science fiction realm have to intersect and it's not good?
No.
Ghostbusters is in that circle.
Yeah. Ghostbusters is in that. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Now I want Flatliners with Egon.
I feel like how busy were the students in Flatliners that they said, you know what? Let's look into death.
They were obviously bored.
Wait, where was Flatliners? I don't remember what year it was.
I knew in medical
1990,
school, 91,
something like that.
90.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
What a perfect beginning to 90s science fiction.
Right, no doubt. I mean, and then from there, it was crap like Slipstream. And
Slipstream.
Yeah. According to Wikipedia, the 2017 film is both a standalone and a sequel and a remake. I don't know how you pull off that hat trick, but
yeah, that's yeah.
Wow. Like, if you think about it as Flatliners is the beginning of 90s science fiction, and you think of it as The Matrix is the end of science fiction in the 90s, and also many other great movies. I'm not even going to launch into my whole Matrix 13th floor thing. But if you think of those as sort of the boundaries of 90s science fiction, what you get is a decade where science fiction really spent a lot of time thinking about, like, where does the soul and the machine, like, where's the boundary between them? Is there a boundary between them? Which isn't something that a lot of eras science fiction has decided to take on, like, whole hog.
Not really.
You know?
Yeah.
But Flatliners was really like, what happens to the soul? Let's use science fiction to ask that question. And then The Matrix was really what happens to the soul. And The 13th Floor is what happens to the soul. And, like, all these movies are really what happens to the soul.
And even, I mean, not so much, but even Total Recall to some extent did that a little
100%,
bit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is what defines you the sum of your lived experience, or something that somebody else tells you happened to you?
yeah, nature versus nurture. Are you evil or inherently, or does the world shape you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, that is
And we are at time.
Okay.
Wow, that was pretty good.
So let's welcome in my favorite screen name ever, Beverly Goldborg.
Oh, that's good stuff. Please tell me that's your real name.
Hello.
I'm at work at the Parade of Home, so I snuck out and said I'm having lunch.
Nice.
You're allowed a lunch.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Who gets the next roll?
Let's let these new folks. Let's let these new folks chime in.
Yeah, here's what we're doing. It's I'll randomly roll a 20-sided die, and then we talk about the sci-fi movies that whatever comes up on the dice.
Okay.
And we'll let Miss Beverly Goldborg go first. Would you like magenta or purple?
Purple. Always purple.
Team purple. And the number that comes up for the movie that comes up for you is RoboCop 2.
Okay.
And go.
We're gonna help you. We don't have to.
Oh yeah. No,
We're not leaving you hanging all by yourself.
I'm more of a RoboCop 1 person.
No, 100%.
I will say that I did go see RoboCop 2 eagerly because of how much I loved RoboCop 1.
Yeah.
And because Frank Miller was writing the script, because this is going to sound similar to something I said earlier. We didn't realize exactly how much of a jerk creep Frank Miller was at the time. So I was very excited. And this was literally, though, the first time I was watching something about it that a creator's handprint was on. And I went, maybe this guy's got issues. Because I really started picking up the whole... he's got a problem with psychologists. He's got a problem with women. But literally, I was watching him. I started thinking, is something wrong with Miller? Do we need to get him an intervention?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, but the other thing I mainly remember was the uproar it caused because one of the main villains is a 10-year-old kid.
Oh.
And everybody just lost their minds. And I think and part of it was, I think, because he was a 10-year-old white kid who was basically a drug lord. And everybody lost their damn minds.
I have to rewatch. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he's like one of the main bad guys' head henchmen. And, he's just basically this little 10-year-old who wants to be loved, but he's a drug lord.
Oh.
Man.
I have to go rewatch.
The 90s were a dark time.
They were.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but it does have some merit to it. It does a good examination of what it would take for someone, again, talking about the soul in the machine. What does it mean to get stripped of almost all your humanity and turned into this robot?
Yeah.
And why is Peter Weller's Frank Murphy able to survive versus, let's imprison a drug lord in a giant robot and flood his brain with drugs, and that'll be a great idea.
Right.
Definitely going to work out.
Yeah.
I don't think that any question that starts with or any scientific endeavor, let's call it, that starts with a giant robot and drugs.
No.
And let's see what happens, is going to work out well.
No way.
I confess that I have never seen RoboCop 2.
Oh.
Is it a good movie?
I wouldn't go far as to say good.
I love
I
how
would
there
say
was
it's
that
interesting.
pause. We're like,
I'd
No,
say
it's not
worth a
good.
watch.
thank you, Michael.
It's not good. Come on, Gary. It's not good.
Yeah, but it's definitely there are good bits in it. It's worth a viewing. I don't own it, so I will say that. But a lot of the relevant clips are on YouTube. So
Yeah. Well, and anytime you get more Peter Weller, that's fine. I mean, you got to go that.
That's true.
yeah,
I now have to wonder, knowing that the villain is a child, I have to wonder if the beginning of the second season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is in some ways a shout out to RoboCop 2, because in that season, the main villain appears to be a child that the master had turned into a vampire. Then Spike and Drusilla show up and just kill it.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The movie it definitely wears its comic book influences on its sleeve. I mean, it starts out at one point where these hookers in stiletto heels, Frank Miller, like stomp on a guy who tried to rob them. Just it really does try to paint a picture of how horrible future Detroit is, and it's so over the top that at the time everybody was like going, and I was going, yeah, I've seen this in Daredevil.
Yeah, and I worked on a freelance job in Detroit a couple of months ago, and yeah, I get it.
It's still horrible, isn't it, Joe?
It's horrible now. Imagine.
But it's
Shout
not
out
as horrible as it
shout
used
out
to be
Detroit.
because they have a RoboCop statue.
They do have a RoboCop statue.
I did not know that.
It's great. I didn't get a chance to go see it, and I'm still mad. But then I discovered it's not quite finished yet. So next time, if I end up in Detroit again, God forbid.
Yeah. Now everything past RoboCop 2, including the remake, just don't. Just
don't even bother.
Just
Don't even bother. Yeah. I mean,
there was a TV show, right?
Right.
There was, and there was even an animated series at some point that I think
No
happened.
way, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're at time.
Gary's like, we have to stop talking about RoboCop.
I'm talking about. So, Michael Williams, would you like to have a role?
Oh, absolutely. And I am always going to be Team Magenta.
Magenta, here we go.
That's right.
Heck yeah. Ooh, you got a good one. 19, Darkman.
A movie I've never seen.
Man.
I'm having 19 is pretty high on the die, so I'm assuming that that's a great film.
It's a Sam Raimi's first superhero movie.
I love it. Yeah,
What?
it's great. Liam Neeson. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Liam Neeson.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. It is Sam Raimi got a budget after doing Evil Dead 2, and he made a superhero movie. He got Liam Neeson plays this guy who's coming up with a new type of artificial skin for burn victims and the like. And unfortunately, his research lab is in the wrong part of town, and the corporate executive corrupt guy, real estate guy, needs the property, leaves him, refuse to leave, so they blow him up. And not only does he get massive scars all over and burns all over his body, he can no longer physically feel pain.
Oh, that's handy when you're a superhero.
Yeah. But it has a side effect of over-amping his emotions, including rage.
Yes. Yeah.
So his artificial skin only works for like an hour in the sunlight, and then it melts. So he's this weird Batman with disguises, but he only has a certain amount of time. He's trying to reconnect with his girlfriend and deal with this.
He can't. He's a tortured hero. He can't be with her because his face will melt off in about 45 minutes.
I'm just going to suggest that this is perhaps best described by an alternate meaning of high concept.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot going on in.
It sounds like it's really complicated. Now, by coincidence, speaking of Sam Raimi, we're in the middle of a watch through of Xena.
Oh, okay.
Which is a shockingly complex show and includes like many, many, many complicated ideas. So I'm not surprised that Sam Raimi has crammed this much into a marginal superhero story. And now I really want to watch it.
It's worth a watch. Yeah. I mean, and Frances McDormand is I think, his girlfriend in it. I mean, she's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
And I would argue that Ash from Evil Dead 2 is his first superhero.
Yeah.
I would argue
That's
that.
true. I believe that.
Yeah, Ash, especially once you hit Army of Darkness, he's full on superhero.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there was bits of that in the second one. I mean, they started going more comedic. I mean, the original was like NC-17.
I still can't watch the original at night. I have to watch it during the daytime.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, back then I think it was rated X. I mean, it was pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Beverly, you have any thoughts on Dark Match?
Yeah, it was Bruce Campbell's cameo at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so into Bruce Campbell back still, but yeah, that was his cameo at the end. I love that.
Yeah, he gets a cameo. Ted always gets a cameo.
Yeah.
I'll never forget though when I did see it in the theater, and when it was over, my friend who's a comic book artist looked at me and he just went, "How does he pronounce the letter S with no lips?" I went, "That's your takeaway. That's your takeaway."
That's what you.
Oh my gosh.
Now, and of course, as happens in the 90s, when one movie has somewhat of a cult success, there is a 2 and a 3 that are completely unwatchable, that Sam Raimi really had nothing to do with other than an executive producer credit.
Yeah.
But Liam Neeson's not in 2 or 3. I mean, it's not worth watching.
Yeah, they traded Liam Neeson for Arnold Vosloo, who you should know as the Imhotep from the Mummy movies.
From the Mummy movies, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were direct to video. I mean,
yeah. What's his name from L.A. Law, who plays the what they call the dragon, the henchman, in the first one, and then he becomes the main bad guy in
was
the
it Corbin
one.
Burnson?
No, not Corbin Burnson. It was the guy who played the mentally disabled character.
Oh,
Oh.
Larry Drake.
Larry Drake. That's it.
Larry Drake. Thank you, Joe.
That's what I do. I leave rooms and I come in and go, Larry Drake.
He played the heavy Durant, and he was such a. Apparently, they threw buckets of money at him for him to come back at the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I went to gather up my Darkman novel.
Oh,
like 50 cents at a used paperback bookstore, and it was the first book in an exciting new paperback series, and I think they did just this one.
Just that one, exactly.
But
A series of one.
a series of one. But yeah,
Somebody got paid to write that, and good on them.
heck yeah.
And that is time.
Yeah.
What do we got next, Joe?
The movie tie-in novel. It's such a thing of the past.
I love it. I love it, though, but yes, you are correct. Let's see. We are back around.
I'll roll one this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to stick with magenta.
Nice. 12. And for 12, we have 12 monkeys.
Oh, yes. Absolutely love. Well, first of all, Terry Gilliam. I mean, one of the most iconic directors, Brazil, Time Bandits. I mean, just amazing stuff. Now, his more recent stuff is not as good, but I mean, back then, and 12 Monkeys was really kind of Brad Pitt's breakout in a sense that you found out that he had range.
Yeah, he was no longer the pretty guy.
Exactly. I mean, and I want to say that he got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for 12 Monkeys. Somebody looked that up. I think that's there. And of course, Bruce Willis. But it's just one of those type of things where we've got to use time travel to stop a virus from occurring. Hopefully, maybe somebody will do that in the future and stop this virus from happening in 2020.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that'll be something.
In fact, on this list that I made, the movies on this list that I picked from were 1990, 1995, and 2000. One of the movies that came out in one of those years is called Outbreak. I did not put it on the list.
That's a good thing.
We're kind of living in it right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah. Brad Pitt was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting, a Saturn Award for Best Supporting, the Reader's Choice Award for Universe Reader's Choice Award for Best Supporting, and the Blockbuster Entertainment Award for Favorite Supporting Actor.
No Oscar nom though. Interesting.
No, he was a Best Supporting Actor nominee for the Oscar.
Okay, these must be ones he won then.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, and so the role, I mean, obviously it went beyond, and that's rare for a sci-fi role to go beyond and break through to the mainstream. And this was a really popular movie. And it was peak Bruce Willis. I mean, 95. Yeah. I mean, Bruce Willis could still carry a movie. I mean, you could put a Bruce Willis movie out there and people are going to go see it. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Post Hudson Hawk?
It was just post Hudson Hawk. I think
Hudson Hawk would have murdered anybody else's career.
Right. I think Hudson Hawk was 94 maybe, and this was 95.
Bruce Willis was like, psh.
Exactly. But and Madeline Stowe, she was fantastic in this. She had come off a really good role in Last of the Mohicans, and so she was pretty much at the peak of her career also. And the cast was just great. I mean, I know I'm missing another really big name that was in it. I can't. There was an older guy in it. I can't remember. Oh no, the guy that was the character actor, and he had a blonde wig in this thing.
Christopher Plummer was in it. David Morse was in it.
David Morse. He is a fantastic character actor. I mean, the cast in and of itself was great, and the concept was cool too. I mean, just the whole MacGuffin of the briefcase. I mean, if you've got a MacGuffin, that's always a good thing. It's something for the protagonist to chase around and solve for, and the time travel aspect of it, and it really spawned a fantastic TV series. I mean, if you haven't seen the 12 Monkeys TV series, it's really, really good. Very solid. And yeah, I mean, I can't say anything more good about it. I've gushed enough. Who else has something?
Beverly?
How it's gritty, but everybody's so beautiful. I mean, the guys, the women, they're just.
Well, they tried to make Brad Pitt ugly. They gave him that weird eye.
It's not possible. Everybody was just beautiful.
It's impossible.
Exactly.
They were dirty, but they were pretty.
Ultimately, this is one of those movies that proves that time travel is for chumps.
Yes.
Seriously.
And this is in the rare category of movies, I think, that had a really genuinely great television adaptation, banding its storyline afterwards, and going to really interesting places. Usually, television adaptations dilute the film.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and I still remember the punch in the theater because I didn't see it coming because I'm thick as a brick. That it was him dying in front of himself as a kid. I still remember when that hit me of that's what was happening. Of going, oh my God, this thing which is focused his whole life since it happened to him when he was a young kid was him.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, and and unfortunately, Terry Gilliam, I just lost his way. I mean, he wanted to make that Lost in La Mancha or that Don Quixote movie for so long, and it failed after that, and it really put him in a funk. I mean, he finally got to make it, and I didn't think it ended up being that great of a movie. I would have loved the original cast if they had got to keep the original cast with Johnny Depp, but fine, over 5 minutes.
Look, somebody's got to be the timekeeper.
No, you're good. You're good.
And our usual person who, when we do the live action version of this at Dragon Con, our friend Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Yeah, hey Sue. When she's the timekeeper, oh my God,
you get your hand slapped, don't you?
and her alarm sound when the 5 minutes is up is a duck. So
yeah.
Now, Joe, you haven't done one yet, have you? I mean, you need to roll, Joe, for yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go Team Magenta.
Poor Team Purple.
Oh my God!
Did you roll the one, Joe?
I rolled a 1.
Oh, nice.
Lay it on him, Joe. You get this.
Doesn't like Track Leader have a class feature that's roll again?
I rolled the 1. This is a natural 1, and it is Battlefield Earth.
Oh no!
Well, this was fun, y'all.
If you can have a spin of this being good, I am ready to hear it.
There's no spin on it.
I do not have such a spin, sir.
Okay.
It infamously, for myself, I read this book in high school, and it was so long, and it got to be such a... And it took me so long to get through it because it was terrible. But I did not want to let the book beat me. And it got to, at one point, get this, at one point, and I'm just remembering this now, at one point, my English teacher said, "Joe, you need to stop. That book is terrible." My English teacher. And so I was invested in it by that time. But then when the movie came out, I thought, well, I have to go see it. And I did not like it. It only got to about page 500. And the movie seemed like it was about 7 hours long.
Joe, that's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, didn't you get to actually interview the director?
Thank you, Gary. Yes, I did. The very first year that I went to DragonCon as a professional nerd journalist for the website that me and my buddy Shane Ivey co-founded, we got to Roger Christensen was at DragonCon, so we got interview time with him. And as he's talking about the movie, out of my mouth, when it got to be my turn, out of my mouth comes, "So, did you guys read the book?"
Oh no! Oh no! And your career was over.
But then his response, though, was, "Oh yeah, we all read the book. We walked around looking at pages of it to recreate those." And I said, "Really?" That was my follow-up comment to him. Was, "Really?"
Oh my god!
I withdraw my previous statement. That guy has Stockholm Syndrome.
All right, it's been 2.5 minutes, but I'm calling time.
Yeah, please. We don't need to give any more time to that movie.
Scientologists show up at my front door and talk to me for 3 hours than ever watch that movie.
Oh wow!
No, we're done. We're done with Battlefield Earth. Let's say Miss Beverly. Let's let you go again.
Okay.
Magenta or purple?
Yeah, magenta or purple.
Purple.
Yay! Considering Magenta just gave us Battlefield Earth.
Purple also just gave you Battlefield Earth.
We're not
Wow, Joe.
Battlefield Earth.
Joe.
2 1s in a row. All right.
Wow.
Better, much better. Tremors.
Oh, I love Tremors.
Well, talk about it, Beverly.
Yeah. Let me think. Kevin Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
And Remo Williams.
Yes. And
Fred Ward.
Fred Ward, yeah.
Yeah. Love that movie. Comedy, sci-fi.
It's one of those, the creatures are so weird and good.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now the couple, the married couple, that's the dad from Family Ties and Reba McEntire.
Michael Gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Michael Gross is a gun nut crazy guy. It's wonderful.
Yeah, Reba McEntire has like a basement full of AR-15s or whatever.
Oh yeah, she's great in this.
I know she is.
And in later movies, still pretty good. They did lots of sequels. Lots of
sequels and a pretty good TV series. I know we were talking about 12 Monkeys, but the Tremors TV series was not bad.
Yeah,
I agree.
I just wish the reboot that Kevin Bacon wanted to do had gotten off the
ground. Bacon himself wanted to do a TV Tremors just in the last couple of years. And come on. If Bacon wants to do it, you let Bacon do it.
Let Bacon be Bacon.
Let Bacon be Bacon.
What was the TV show about? Because I'm having trouble figuring out how you'd construct a season's worth of stories. unless it's either let's look at a different place where the things are, or it's let's have basically a sitcom / family drama where occasionally somebody gets eaten by a monster, which I'm into. I'm not judging.
I mean, it was basically like your trimmer of the week type thing. I mean, you know,
they had by that time identified subspecies of tremors.
Right.
And like one of them was my favorite. The one I remember is the ass grabber. So each episode, a new tremor creature would show up.
Yeah,
and would have to shoot, fight, and that kind of thing.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad series. Yeah.
I think the last one I watched was a Tremors in Alaska, like snow tremors.
Yes, they did that. They did
Snow
a wild.
Tremors.
Yeah, they were.
They did a Wild West Tremors.
Yeah.
With Michael Gross's ancestor.
Yeah.
I would watch that. In a heartbeat.
You should.
So yeah, there's lots of Tremors goodness to go around. And the first movie is I think I expected it to be at the standard horror flick where the standard monster flick of that time period where everybody dies except one guy. And then, well, yeah, a lot of people did that. but not everybody. And then they killed the monsters, and there was good, funny stuff in that movie.
Oh yeah. The first one it was worth watching. I never saw any of the sequels, but the first one was worth watching.
Yeah, it falls into that vein of the B-grade sci-fi monster movie that knows exactly what it is. I put it right up there with like Lake Placid, which is one of my favorites. Which where it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to be anything more. It has fun with the concept. It takes itself seriously enough that you enjoy it, but not so seriously that it's like, oh, come on, guys, really.
Yeah.
Would you put Eight-Legged Freaks in the same category?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and Arachnophobia, really. I mean, Arachnophobia in a way.
Almost put that on the list today, but so we technically we're only a few minutes away from an hour, but we're all at home. I'm going to keep going.
I gotta drop, Joe, but I want to plug my stuff real quick, and then I'll let you guys go.
Yes,
please check my podcast out, the Deucecast Movie Show. We've been going for 10, 11 years now. It can be found where any finer podcasts are sold. So please check it out, and thank you for having me on, Joe. I really appreciate it. You guys have fun.
Yeah, the link to Michael's stuff is going to be in our show notes and all that stuff. So
awesome. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, guys.
See ya.
I got to go back to work. Nice to see you. Bye.
Thank you, Miss Beverly. Send us.
Thank you for joining us.
Media. We'll put you in
the Okay, bye.
Bye.
And I have to respect anyone who has a Phantom Menace poster on their wall.
Come on. Love it. Well, how about let's we'll bring this to a conclusion by doing a lightning round on the remaining topics.
All right.
That works.
All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We really did need Sue. We have 10, I think, that we can get to. Let's do like a minute on each one.
Got it.
All right, Gary, we ready?
I am ready.
Gremlins 2.
Again.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
One of the best Christmas movies. Because that's a Christmas movie, right?
The first one's a Christmas movie.
Oh, dang. Okay, well then I don't know. I don't have anything.
The second one is a wonderful spoof of horror movies, pop culture of the time. It's got Christopher Lee in it as one of the main bad guys. It has a Hulk Hogan sequence, which when they brought it to home video, they redid with a cable sequence. So if you pick it up make sure when you pick it up on Blu-ray that it's got those extra scenes because they're hilarious. It does a wonderful send-up of itself at certain points. It is just a delight of a movie. And Tony Randall voicing the cultured main evil gremlin is just... Oh.
Wow. Another movie where it knows what it is and it has fun with it, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's go to the other end of the die because we were at the bad end, so to speak. That was 2. Gremlins 2 was 2 on the die. The next
it's
one
because of 2, though.
It's
a good
not a
movie.
bad 2. It's a strong 2.
Yeah.
The next one is Pitch Black.
Oh, another great monster movie. And one that gave us it's basically the movie that gave us Vin Diesel when it was supposed to be the like film career vehicle for the woman whose name I forgot now from Farscape.
Claudia Black.
Yes, Claudia Black.
Thank you, Claudia Black.
And Larry Drake. I'm that guy today.
Yeah, it was supposed to push her. It was supposed to push the main cop guy, whose name also escapes me. But no, that movie is a solid gem. I went into it because it was a horror movie in December. I went to see it in the theater expecting it to be horrible, and it was one of the best experiences I had. Solid characters, solid writing. The character of Riddick in that movie grows so much, and the moment I knew Vin Diesel was going to be a big hit was at the end when he and the main girl are running for the ship and the creatures grab her and he collapses and pounds his fist on the ground going, "It's supposed to have been me," was like powerful. And I was like, this is not what I expected out of this.
Yeah. And a really, really ambient, good, effective, scared of the dark again horror.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and Keith David.
Good in everything.
Yes. All right, time.
Okay, now let's go. Let's stay in the good realm, more or less. Let's do the first Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. It's got Christopher Lambert.
That was exactly the thing I was gonna say.
Who knew a movie could be financed by the steroids industry?
Oh.
They had to introduce 24 characters in it, and they didn't. I wonder if now it's better than the subsequent Mortal Kombat things.
Well, that's like saying stepping on dog poop in your sock is worse than stepping in it in your shoe.
True, very true. Now, I wonder though if the people who were so into the Mortal Kombat game, if they came out of the movie, if they came out of the movie going no, or if they were super into it. I don't recall.
I can tell you, as a Mortal Kombat fan, I was satisfied. I wasn't 100% satisfied, but they got more right than they did wrong. Yeah. I loved Goro. I loved Kerry Tagawa as Shang Tsung. He is just a powerhouse of charisma and does so much with so little in that role, to the point that, he has pretty much become Shang Tsung. When they did the recent video games, they got him to come back in, be Shang Tsung and do the motion capture and do the voice, and they use his likeness. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it's another one that knows what it is. And if you're just looking for some people to beat each other up.
Yeah.
I think my favorite memory of that movie is the fact that at the time, one of my housemates, still one of my best friends, his dad was a doctor, and we're sitting there watching the movie, and he says, "That guy's using steroids." And I said, "How do you know that?" And he said, "My dad says that downward pointing nipples are a symptom of steroid abuse." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You learn something every day." And now you two have learned that.
Good night, folks.
I haven't used steroids. Oh, I'm just fat.
Okay, I'm going to keep it moving. Speaking of breasts, Total Recall.
We're talking the original.
The original.
And go.
With this was peak Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And
this was a movie where we proved that he could act.
Yeah. It could have been like any actor could have done the same movie. Mm-hmm. But because it was Schwarzenegger doing it, there was that extra like, oh, okay, wow, he can do this. That wasn't clear before.
And it's much more complicated science fiction than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And it's much more complicated science fiction than a lot of sci-fi movies at the time presented. And it has a lot of really interesting ideas, and it causes you to question the motivations of characters and to like study their reactions to things. And I love the fact that there's a whole scene that hinges on him noticing the bead of sweat rolling down the forehead as someone lies to him.
Yes.
It's a fine detail and a really great way to do a scene that could have been much simpler, much less complex, much less interesting.
And time. Next.
Okay. Unbreakable.
Oh, I love that movie. It was Shyamalan's second movie, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was an amazing study on superheroes. I did not see the twist coming. We knew there was going to be a twist because although he wasn't quite what a twist at that point yet, but
he said, I don't. After The Sixth Sense, he said, I don't do twists, and we're like, shut up. That's all you do. And some of them are good, but in Unbreakable, we really should have seen that coming.
But nobody did.
No,
and it's so perfect. It is. I think it's his best film by far. It's such a phenomenal movie. It's enjoyable. It's complex. It's well acted. It's well written. It's well directed. It's beautifully filmed. Everything about it is perfect. The costumes, everything.
What I like about it is that it deconstructs superhero stuff at a time when not everyone had seen every superhero thing.
Yeah,
and it successfully did it.
It'd be a whole different movie if it came out now.
Like us, we were like, "Oh yeah, I see what they did there. I see what's going on here." But the general public got it too, and so good stuff.
All right, time.
Next up, Johnny Mnemonic.
Never seen it.
Gary.
It's a cyberpunk movie with Keanu Reeves. It's okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but it definitely is Hollywoodizing cyberpunk. Much more, they changed way too much trying to make sure that normal people would get it. It's got, I think, Ice-T and Henry Rollins in supporting roles. But overall, it's just watch The Matrix.
It's another movie where Keanu and Winona Ryder are the stars, right?
I think she's in it. I forget. Hold on.
I ask because I recently learned that when they filmed Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula,
I think I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
The story about how they got an actual Greek Orthodox priest to perform the wedding ceremony, and they filmed the whole wedding ceremony. And so she has teased him for decades now that they are technically married, and they're really good friends. Like, they really like each other. And so she texts him all the time, and she will always start every text with husband.
That's such a
great. It was
story.
Dina Meyer. So, time.
Okay. Species.
A lot of boobs.
Okay.
Mutant boobs.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother wonders how I turned out this way.
Okay, see, now I need that as a shirt. Species made me gay.
I feel like it.
And time.
I'd wear it.
Ran it out. Next up, Dick Tracy.
I appreciate what Warren Beatty was trying to do, but he should have let somebody else star as Dick Tracy.
I was bummed about it because after Batman '89, we all thought, woohoo, superhero movies are coming. And that next year, Dick Tracy was all we got.
Yep.
And it was something. Now there was a Madonna video where she dressed up as Breathless Mahoney, and I, being a college student at the time, have fond memories of that. But the artistry.
Yes.
What I'll say about it is that they tried really hard.
They did. Now, the makeup, it looked exactly like the comic strip guys. That I dug.
Yeah.
That's probably the first time the Uncanny Valley entered the American mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell Warren Beatty actually loves the material, but again, I think he was either too close or they were too caught up in trying to catch that Batman fever and time.
But yeah, we'll that's one of those that we may have to. We got to deal more with that later.
Yeah.
But all right, we're down to the final three, and the next one is Predator 2.
I love this movie.
Predator versus Gary Busey.
Yes. And Adam Baldwin gets it has a small role in it. Danny Glover owns this movie.
And it's when they go onto the Predator ship and there's the alien carcass. That is the biggest geek out, oh my God, nerd moment I think I might have had in movies up till that point. We're like, they're connected,
It's probably the most expensive Easter egg ever filmed.
But I so dug it. And I loved all of Predator, and I wanted more of that, and I got some of it in Predator 2. I remember the comic book inserts advertising Predator 2 had a diagram of all the weapons on the Predator, and that hung on my wall. It was a whole thing.
I love that it's a very different movie. I love that it's that they didn't try to just remake the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a ball, and Bill Paxton. I mean, and that's the other thing I really love about it is, aside from Bill Paxton, it's a very minority-heavy cast.
Yes, it's not just a bunch of white people.
Yeah. And the next to last one on the list is Judge Dredd.
Are we talking the Stallone Dredd? Yeah, because we're saying Judge Dredd. Yeah, the good one is just Dredd.
Yes. No, he took off the helmet. He took off the helmet. Why'd he take off the helmet?
Yeah, that's strike one right there.
I mean, yeah. If you the whole thing. I mean, Batman took off his mask because he took off his mask in the comics. Judge Dredd, you never saw, did you?
No, he's never taken his helmet off.
Now, of course, the Dredd movie fixed that but I don't know. I wanted a lot more from this movie.
I saw it in a theater in a sufficient state of inebriation that I don't actually remember anything about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like I came out ahead.
Yeah. The main thing I remember is that of the entire cast, only Armand Assante knew exactly what movie he was in and overacted to meet the material.
Nice.
There isn't a single piece of the scenery left in that movie that didn't have his teeth impressions. And everybody else is like, we're making a serious satire, sci-fi. No, you're not. You have Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least,
number 3 on the die and number 77. Anyway, okay, here. Number 3 is Exorcist 3.
I didn't even know they made that many.
Exorcist 3 is the good sequel. It's got George C. Scott. It's got Brad Dourif. It's set in mostly in a mental hospital where they're trying to determine, is this guy possessed or is he just crazy? It has one of the best jump scares in movie history, where you're looking down a hospital corridor and you see this nurse walking back and forth and back and forth. And on the third time she walks back, 2 steps behind her is a person with a pair of hedge clippers just coming right behind her. And you're just like, because it comes out of nowhere.
Maybe I put this too low on the die. Was I thinking of Exorcist 2, the head?
If you were thinking of Exorcist 2, that one's horrible.
Okay, so all right, I stand corrected. This one
Exorcist 3 is actually a solid movie.
This is not Exorcist 2.
And talking again about
it's not Exorcist 2.
Yeah, and again, talking about TV shows that build upon a movie, the Fox Exorcist TV series
my gosh,
was phenomenal.
Really?
Yes.
They didn't
It was
tell you.
solid.
They didn't tell you. I guess spoilers for a canceled TV show. They didn't tell you it was in canon with the Exorcist movie at first.
It's literally like of the 20 episode season, I think it's like episode 16 where they go, oh, and here's how it ties back to the original movie.
Yeah. You get 15 episodes in before you're like, oh. So that in itself is just mwah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's the end of our list. Guys, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
We have tons of watchers and tons of likers and tons of people doing hearts on the thing. And thank you guys.
Gina Davis is in the TV series.
Who?
Gina Davis.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, she's one of the main characters.
Okay. Now I'm going to go find this TV show.
Yeah. But thank you guys. This is just an example of if you are seeing classic track stuff for the first time, we've been doing virtual panels for the last 2 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we don't know. But we don't know if we're doing live action panels at our Dragon Con or anywhere else ever again in history. But in the meantime, we're doing this, and it's great. I love it. I think you guys can tell me if you love it also, but I super dig it, and I'm glad that we're doing this and having a ball.
Where can they
Thanks
find
so
you
much
on
for
the web?
inviting me.
Yeah. Where can they find you on the web, Michael?
www.michaelgwilliamsbooks.com.
Buy his stuff. It's excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Look for False Death Pride on Amazon. I picked that up. Well worth the money.
Oh,
$10 for $4.99 for the next
Yeah.
few days.
I'll put that. I'll put the link to that in the show notes.
And you can find me on Twitter at McManlyPants.
I'm pointing at the screen, and then I realized no one is here in the room with me to see me pointing at the screen.
Or are they?
Gary, the call is coming from inside the house.
You can find me here on the Twitter as Gary_Mitchell, and you can find my weekly article on revolutionist.com/forgetting, where I write slip discs, where I tell you what nerdy, geeky media is coming out every Tuesday for you to own and buy, because I still believe in physical media.
Yeah. And links to all the guys that you witnessed stop by for Roll-A-Panel. We're going to do this again. This was very, very fun. We'll do this again very soon. Thank you guys very, very much. Oh, I should have responded. This is live on AtHome.com. Again, I did it. AtHomeCon. Ah!
You're a professional, Joe.
I am a professional, but all of these videos that we are doing, you can find us on the Facebooks at facebook.com/group/American Sci-Fi Classics. And we do this kind of stuff a lot, maybe way too much. But thank you guys. If this is the first time you've seen us, please come back again. We like hearing ourselves talk. There you go.
I love it personally.
Mm-hmm.
We're a delight. Is all I'm saying.
It changes the direction of my nipples.
I'm stopping it. I'm shutting it down. Shutting it down right there.